Hi everyone, today I'm so excited. I've got eight free sea creature patterns from my website to share with you. They are all sea creatures or sea creature adjacent in the case of one of them, and two of them are brand new. I've not talked about them on the channel before. I really hope you like them. Let's check them out. Does anyone else do this? I get distracted by what I'm doing and then my coffee goes cold. And today I thought, travel mug. And it's working. It's really working. Pro tip. So I thought I'd sandwich the new ones. So we'll start with the new one and then we'll go through some of the classic ones and then I will dive back to the new one at the end that I think is probably the most spectacular. I really can't wait to show you. But I'm also excited to show you this. This is my crochet pufferfish. He's very specifically named Mr. Puffy because he is based on a pufferfish at a local reptile shop to us who's called Mr. Puffy that my son is a very big fan of. So here's Mr. Puffy, the pufferfish. As with any good crochet toy, I've used the power of exaggeration a little bit, but for a pufferfish, really don't have to that much. So, you know, he's having a bit of a bad day, Mr. Puffy. He's slightly excited, slightly puffed up. I've given him this ridge effect. Now, some types of pufferfish have sort of spines that erupt when they get bigger, and that's to sort of give the illusion of those protrusions there. He's got his little fins at the front and his little divided tail. The tail and fins are both made from working from a magic circle, just like you would for sort of generalized body parts, but you just flatten it afterwards, and then I have crocheted the two sides together and used sort of a sequence of slip stitches, single crochets and double crochets to give sort of that slightly more fin-like illusion. I chose quite big safety eyes for him. They do have quite big bulgy protruding eyes. Now this mottled colour, don't worry, that is just through using a variegated yarn. You don't have to do like 8,000 colour changes. That would be killer. Just not worth it. The mouth is really nice and easy to do. It's not a separate piece. All it involves is some front loop only and some back loop only crocheting to give that structured shape. And what's really nice when you do that is that it does produce a sort of a more manipulatable surface. So you can have him with his little gasping round mouth, or you can have him with his slightly more realistically pufferfish sort of lips sort of mouth. Like that. Now those ridges that I mentioned before on the surface of the toy, they're just made with a tapestry needle or a yarn needle, and I just made 2 stitches apart and I just went in and out 4 times for each one. So if the pattern's not already on the website for that, it will be soon, and whenever it is I'll drop a link in the description box below. So that's number 1, Mr. Puffy, the pufferfish. I'm going to climb out of the sea momentarily for number 2, which is my crochet seal. This is such a special one to me because I made it for my future sister-in-law who is awesome and loves seals. I used ridiculously big safety eyes for this. I maximized the cuteness factor. I think it's like quite a tiny toy. It's about that big and there's like 16mm safety eyes. Yeah, so I love that. Again, it uses a variegated or ombre, as you may call it, yarn, and to give that sort of more natural appearance of the fur. Very similar manner for making the fins and the flippers for that guy there as well. Your third free crochet pattern, and it is my little seahorse. I've talked about him before, but just briefly, it looks more complicated than it is, which is always a great thing, isn't it? Because, you know, look like you're doing a complicated thing. That's a bit of fun. The only thing that's a slightly more sort of maybe intermediate skill is this surface crocheting around here. I've got a little written tutorial on that. If you want more information on it, I can make you a video for it at another time. But you're basically making your standard single crochet stitches but into an existing piece of crochet, so into the top of your flattened magic circle, as opposed to onto the previous row of chains or stitches. I hope that makes sense. For this guy I used the nice sort of shiny backed googly eyes to give it that proper proper nice under the water feel. And yeah, so we use this turquoise yarn and a little bit of this grey blue colour as well. But yeah, so we make the creases in this just for a tiny little bit of hand sewing with the same colour yarn. You can also do it with sort of decreases and stitching, but honestly I do think, you know, if you're comfortable with a needle, even barely comfortable with a needle, it's just a really nice way to give a bit of structure and shape. And as you can see, I've used that same technique for the trumpety nose there as I used for our pufferfish friend as well. The next one on the list is one of my favourite animals. It is a turtle, and a sea turtle to be specific. This one I made up for my kids. I made them a turtle and a sea turtle each. They are super quick and easy to make. They are the dreaded chenille yarn, but if you use the chain 2 method or add in another fibre of yarn for a magic circle, if you make it with a magic circle, still dead straightforward to do. Lovely simple shapes. And again, I used this a lot. I made use of a variegated yarn, and I really love this one because it looks kind of camo, and I think it really works for the natural feel of the shell as well. So that one's super fun, and like I said, so far you could make like an army of turtles in a short period of time, and who wouldn't want to do that, right? Sticking strongly with our sea theme, the next one is the sea otter, and this is highly specifically for me a sea otter rather than one of the river-dwelling otters, due to the way in which I did the coloration for it. It's designed to be held lying on its back. I do have the actual toy here. I'm not going to go and get it and show it to you because it is buried within my son's bed and gets slept upon every night. So I mean, it's basically flat at this point. But fortunately that lends itself to the shape of a sea otter. Another really nice, easy one to make up. It does have some colour changes, but they're really minimal, and it follows that progressive sort of working from a magic circle, increases and decreases pattern that's just classic amigurumi work. And yeah, a really nice one to work with, that one. I think, I mean, it's so biased, right? I made them, but still, I think really nice one to work with. Climbing out of the sea for the next two, and you may think this is a slightly tenuous link, but bear with me because it's so strongly associated with the sea. I'm gonna ram it in there, and also because I really love it. Come on, polar bear cub, right? Seriously cute. Once again, I made this with chenille yarn. I was a little bit happier to work with that as a material by that point, and we'd had our backwards and forwards chatting with you guys about different ways to work with it, and it's gone really well. And I used the trick that, again, one of you taught me in the comments section. I cannot thank you enough for that, about pulling these safety eyes in closer by tying them together at the back, and it gives this lovely sort of characterful, expressive appearance to the eyes. Just a dash of brown yarn to bring out the nose, and I added in some little claws just to break up that very unforgiving white canvas of that one. But yeah, there we go. That's the polar bear cub. I really like this. I love this one, but I think it's one of the quirkier things that I made, and it's my walrus. It was so much fun to make. They are not classically beautiful animals, and I really wanted it to look the part. It's got these little sort of cheeks that I made from small magic circles, and his glorious whiskers, and the positioning was really fun to make as well, and I hope that's nice and clearly explained in the pattern. But I mean, just a brilliant one to make for a sea creature collection as well, because it's, you know, it's not as popular, it's not as commonly thought of, it's not as classically cute, and therefore it's a great one to add to your collection, to be a bit different if you like that sort of thing. Finally, so I have to give you this backstory even though it's so irrelevant, but I sat down yesterday to do some slightly complicated work on the publishing stuff that I do, and next I decided to knock down some trees. And I say knock down, but I mean like an unbelievable number of chainsaws for the job kind of noise, and I could not hear myself think. You know, when you have a job to do and you just can't get in the right brain space for it because of other factors. So I was looking around my room with that sort of despairing way that you do, and saw my seahorse, and I was like, sea creatures, interesting thought. And that's when I made this and the pufferfish. I made them both yesterday. Squid! So, I love this squid so much. It was so much fun to make because a squid is such a funny sort of shape. And so I really wanted to accentuate all these amazing parts of this unbelievably crazy cool animal. So it's got this lovely fin on the top, which I've highlighted with surface crochet with a different colour yarn, and then it comes down to this sort of section just above the head. I think it's actually all head, really. I should have looked this up. And again, I did some back loop only crochet to create this sort of hat effect. It's not separate sections, that's all one thing. Closed it off at the bottom, and then I made him these lovely 6 gangly arms and his pointy little tentacles underneath. I gave him big googly eyes because that's always fun. And then I highlighted the eyes, just trying to get my camera to focus. I highlighted the eyes and literally just that's coming out here with some chenille yarn on a needle and back in there, and doing the same at the other side, and then tying a knot in the back and hiding the knot within the toy to give him this lovely expression. And you might think, well, why has he not got a mouth? Well, I can't in good conscience give him a little smiley mouth, regardless of how cute that would be, because your squid's mouth is there, it's in the butt section. And, you know, there's inaccuracy for cuteness, and then there's anatomical fails that I couldn't possibly live with myself if I committed. So yeah, so here we have it, the fabulousness that is this squid. I'm going to try and get the pattern put up before this video goes live, but if it's not there, then don't worry, it will be. Just check back very soon, and it'll be in the description. All my patterns, all these sea creatures, everything else I make, they are always free. You find them on the lucycatecrochet.com website. Go to the crochet patterns section and just scroll down, and there's pictures, and you click on whichever one takes your fancy. But I really hope that it's this squid, because you know, sometimes you just make something and you just really, really like it. It makes me laugh. And, you know, we all need more of that, right? Smiley things. So there you have it. 8 crochet sea creatures. Please tell me which was your favourite. I really, really would like to know which of the styles do you like the best. I have some variation in there, and it would be lovely to know which one you fancy the most. Check them out on the website. Chat to me in the comments below this video, and I'll see you next time. And in the meantime, happy crocheting.